Hey folks, I'm going through a struggle which is not easy, and somehow I found myself in the middle of a working class McDonald's here, and we got this guy with a good crop of hair, and these two gentlemen who are nice gentlemen, and everybody that's come in has been friendly to us. So I guess what I have to say is give me the working class people every time. Give me the working class people. You know, I'm having a good deal of problems today, like more than I've had in many years. And not going to be easy today for me. So we'll see what occurs. And 5 o'clock I got to be at work. And I got to get through this heat because I got to sit here. They're fixing something on the new car I got, which should tell you everything you need to know. Anyways, take care, folks, and I will see you a little later with the news. We'll try to do the news. Gold has retreated a little bit. Now it's not open. The markets aren't open, but silver went up like another $1 or something. It's up now at like, I forget what it was, $70 or $71. I think it's $71. So silver is moving its way up. I think if it gets past $100 again, I think you can say bye-bye. I think it might really take off. It's been overdue for a while. And that's about it. I'll do a video when I get into work. All right? It's a lot of tough times here ahead for me here. Looks like. They say that when you try to make your... every time, my 11th grade teacher told me, he said, you'll be happy I gave you that book. You'll appreciate me later on in your life. I was only 16 then or 17. He said, I promise you'll look back on your life and you'll remember this book that I gave you. And God, we trust, all others pay cash. Every time I relate things to that book. So today, what is it? I made this huge gamble buying a car with every money I had. And then I got a problem. I didn't even make it home. So, it's too ironic to even get into. But hopefully they'll be able to fix it. Took it back to the dealer, and he said we dropped it off at the shop, and I'm waiting for an answer now. I don't know. It won't start. And the alternator's good and the battery's good, according to him. He tested it. So, I think back on the book, In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, and there's this one story in there where I think he was around 14 years old, Gene Shepard, who wrote the book, and he's talking about his life accounts. And he pretty much pegged his father mentally. His father was not a really bright man. And you can tell that as you read the book. But he was an office worker, and he had a good job. And that was during the Depression, which was really unusual. And it meant he could go fishing, and it meant he could do some little things. And that story in there where he wins the major award, because back in those days, even in the 70s, I remember you used to get a magazine or something, or the newspaper, and they had a puzzle for you to fill out, or they had like a picture, and then you had to figure out what was wrong in the picture. It was just a little thing in the newspaper. And if you saw like a bird flying upside down, you circled it, and there was like a couple things, 2-3 things that weren't right, and it'd be like a person with only 1 foot, like all these different little things. So you circled them, and then you sent them in to this sweepstakes. And, he wound up getting contacted because he wound up winning a major prize. So if you read that story, that is just unbelievable. And it shows you who's boss. Either a man and a woman. Back then, in the 30s, you got to find out real quick who the boss was. You think it's a woman or you think it's a man? I know. You don't. I do, because I read that book. Anyways, in that book, he's about 14, I guess. Maybe he's 15. I don't know. He's coming of age. And his father was a car nut. That means he probably replaced his car every couple years. And he would go into this buyer savvy to try to get, kick the tires and try to get the price down. And it was part of who he was. It was like part of his personality. And so what happened was he found a car, of course, and those old cars had a kind of majestic appearance to them. And when you waxed them, they really, really looked good, because for the time, everything was pretty boring there, car-wise. And he got this car, and the father loved the car, and he had this thing about Simonize. That was the big car wax back then, and it was almost like a religion, and it was not expensive. So the son, wanting to be good to his father, and wanting to, because Gene Shepherd said some of the biggest mistakes we'll ever make are those trying to better ourselves. So what he did was he wanted to polish his dad's car. The problem was, it was in the garage, and the garage was big enough for the car, but just barely. So he got the keys, and he jumped in, and turned the ignition. The car came to life, and he strips the gear and goes into reverse, because that's kind of how it was then. And he got it in reverse, and he backs up, and he scrapes the back fender. Fortunately, it was the right-hand side. So the right-hand fender in the back was pretty good gouge. It was a pretty good scrape, and that car was a lovely car. The dad was bananas about it. So it was stuck, and then he drove it forward again, and then he did what everybody would do, which is he just turned the key off and kept his mouth shut. I mean, how in the hell could you go into your dad and say, "Dad, I scraped your rear fender"? And he talks about how he felt like he wasn't part of the human race because he knew he was a doomed man. The next day, that thunderous voice of his dad was, "Where are you?" And it turned out, whenever you get a scrape on the other side of your car, you may not know it, because you get into the driver's side and you don't always check the rear quarter on the other side, which is what happened. And he wound up going and parking in a public parking place, and he saw it then, and then he blamed it on the guy that was parking the cars. And the guy actually gave him like $15, which was a lot of money back then. $15 was a lot of money. And he said that he thought that there was a God at that time. Because his father was real bad. He had a real bad temper. Wasn't particularly bright, but he was a good dad. And you can tell that by reading this book. I'm telling you, if you don't read In God We Trust, All of This Pay Cash by Gene Shepherd, you're missing out. All right? Anyways, I'll be back later with the news. I'm going to have a hard time today. And hopefully I'll be back in a better state. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a like. Bye.